there are not enough hours in the day, days in the week, weeks in the year for any one of us to make all of the mistakes necessary to learn all of life's lessons. In today's episode, John and I are going to do a deep dive into the lessons I have learned by interviewing top producers and moderating top producer panels. You and I can go on an adventure based on their mistakes and their successes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC
John Coleman.
Dio, what's poppin'?
The good news is this has to be a shorter
Every time you
episode.
say that.
No, it has to be, because I have to be hopping on a webinar, a masterclass, where we have over 300 originators RSVP'd.
What?
Yes, I am teaching 30-10-5531. I'm teaching unlocking the code to impactful social selling. And it's a free event because we do one free masterclass a month. This is TLOP 2025, brother. This is not TLOP 2024.
Sound like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, right. Eat your Wheaties, brother. Be good.
Wheaties?
I have no idea,
Fucking
man.
slap into a Slim Jim. Come on,
Slap
Randy.
into a Slim Jim
It's
was Randy Macho Man Savage. Ooh. Yeah, so anyhow, we have to do this pretty quick.
Go ahead, man.
Because I have 300 plus people waiting on me.
And you know what's going to happen? Even if you were at home with the lights on, ready to go, you'd still be late.
Dude, I'm going to be late to my funeral, and I'm fine with that. Now, I do understand. I once had a counselor or coach tell me.
Here we go.
He's like, bro, he said, look, when you're late, you're a dick. The reason why you're a dick is you're basically telling someone else that your time is better than their time.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's not fun. I don't want to be
Where's
a dick.
that person now?
He's still working on not being a dick.
Exactly.
Oh, what, that person? Like,
No,
where's
the person that gave you that advice.
Oh, he's still around.
Doing what?
He's a life coach.
He's a life coach. He ain't doing big shit like we are over here at TLOP.
There you go. Well, coming off of that great event in Greenville still, I mean, the momentum that we're going to be riding off of that, woo-wee.
I'll be chasing that high forever.
But you weren't even there.
Exactly. That's why I'll be chasing it forever.
Yeah. You weren't there, but I felt bad because the people were like, hey, where's your guy at? They said, where's your guy? So you mean JC?
You mean the
like,
guy that has a fucking name? Yeah, John. Sorry I don't wear lanyards, people, so you probably don't know my name.
But yeah, I think the people in Greenville were upset that you weren't there.
It's fine. I'll go into all the next ones.
You think so? Is that a promise? I mean, I bet if we made that promise, we'd sell that shit out in like days,
I could start going because we need to partner with like NetJets or something so we fly private. Fuck all the bum shit, man. We need to be traveling.
We just got to talk to our sponsors. That's it. But anyhow, no, but today's episode is like, look, and I say this when I travel the country and I speak, whether it's at Mortgage Con or it's coming up at Mastermind Summit in Vegas, or, I'm going to be at the Texas MBA, the Kentucky MBA, the Iowa Mortgage Association, right? That's like, and I'll tell people straight up, like, look, the benefit I have, yes, I was a very successful rookie originator. I was a very successful producing branch manager, very successful as a divisional sales executive. But I think the biggest value I bring is my network is so vast, and I'm friends with mortgage executives and top producers from Spokane to Key West and everywhere in between, that I'm really good at telling their stories. Like, I'm really good at interviewing, maybe peeling back the layers of the onion and then finding that lesson, and then I retain that lesson, and then I can go out and regurgitate it. It's what we coach loan officers. Like, I'll coach you. If you're an LO working for me, or you're an LO who's paying me to coach you, I'll straight up tell you, and John heard this 1,000 times, if you don't have a me story,
tell a we story.
Yeah, you tell a we story. But you got to be a really good storyteller and really good at remembering enough of the details that you can frame out a story to share it. So today's episode is me sharing stories because I have spent with you 5 years, 500 plus episodes of creating content, and 50 or 60 of those episodes, we were interviewing other people that I respect, subject matter experts, top producers. And I also travel the country putting on events where we do top producer panels, and those interviews aren't recorded because they're done live in front of the audience of hundreds. And these are their stories. So coming off of a big event where our top producer panel crushed it. I mean, crushed it. Jed Barker, Corey Davis, Mike Fitzpatrick, like broker, banker, credit union. All three of them are beasts at what they do. They are top 1%ers at what they do. Yet they all three were so different, but so much the same. So that's what today's episode. We're going to pick 5 things that I've learned from interviewing top producers, and I'm going to tell their stories as a benefit to the audience so that they can absorb the lesson learned and hopefully implement it into their career, into their life moving forward so that they can focus on getting 1% better.
Go ahead, but before we get started, you probably have to give a shout out to today's sponsor or some shit.
Yeah, you know what? Today's show is sponsored by Win Social. So this is our boy, Dan Smokoska. Okay, Dan lives in Texas. He works for Housing Wire, but Dan is a mortgage marketing guru. Been at the game for a decade plus. I met Dan a few years ago for the first time, and then we were reconnected when we both had a chance to write in the Green Book that was published last year by Brian View and Kyle Draper. Shout out to Brian and Kyle. And Dan has been crushing it with this LinkedIn cohort, right? So like mortgage loan originators, if you're tired of cold calling, if you're tired of all the effort that it takes to get in front of realtors to get your calendar filled, I'm going to highly encourage you to check out what Dan is doing. He has a Win Social LinkedIn and social selling cohort. They meet Monday nights. His classes fill up because he basically does one class a month. The classes are Monday nights for 4 weeks in a row. You're there with 30 up to 40 other mortgage professionals. So these are people that you can network with, which is awesome because we love to network and we love expanding our network. But the goal of this cohort is to teach you how to leverage LinkedIn and how to leverage social selling on LinkedIn so that realtors are reaching out to you, so that your calendar always stays filled with meetings and that you never have to cold call anymore because of the strategies that Dan will teach you. So the website is winsocial.com/cohort. So WIN social, SOCIAL.com/cohort. Cohort is COHORT. So shout out to our boy, Dan Smokoska and his company, Win Social.
There you go.
All right. So we're going to jump right into lessons learned from top producers, typically from moderating top producer panels at events like we do in all the various cities that we travel to.
Okay.
And coming off of a great event with 3 amazing panelists, let me tell the audience who wasn't in Greenville what they missed. And I think the very first lesson that I learned moderating this panel is understanding the background of all 3. So all 3 of them have a different yet similar background. And that background was this. Mike, when he tells his story, he talks about growing up in a very entrepreneurial household. Now, his dad's industry was more insurance, but Mike grew up around what it took to build a personal brand, to market, and have to network, right? So he may have had an advantage compared to other originators getting into the industry that there's a certain amount of like daily routine and discipline that to him was just how the world operated because it's what he witnessed and even participated in his father. Okay. Now differently, but similar, we're going to go over to Jed Barker, who Jed had a very successful home security company, like extremely successful. So successful that he built 2 different companies and sold both of them, but he got started door knocking. What that told me about Jed is that he's not afraid to do the shitty work. He's not afraid to do the grunt work. There's no task beneath him. He'll tell you straight up, and when you meet him, he's not like the most gregarious, large personality. He said he had butterflies every single day that he had to go door knock, but he also had a family to feed. He also had income goals, and he wasn't going to allow any fear get in his way of doing his job. And then when you meet Corey, like I realized probably at dinner with Corey, her brain, even as early as college, was trying to figure out who, not how. Who, not how. Like, which one of my roommates can help me pass this class so that I can move on to the next class. Corey's background was one in which like she grew up in banking, but then realized the money was in mortgage and she was going to go chase the money. So that tells me she was money motivated. So when I look at highly successful mortgage sales professionals, they tend to be money motivated. They tend to also be very entrepreneurial. So that would be lesson number one. Lesson number one is, are you money motivated and are you highly entrepreneurial? Are you willing to do something like door knock, even if it gives you butterflies? That would be lesson number one. You ready for lesson number two?
I'm not saying nothing so you can get through this episode in 15 minutes or less, so go ahead.
All right, lesson number two, all three of them are active learners. You would think, oh, you're making $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year? Like, you know it all. Nope. There is one thing that I have found interviewing top producers throughout the country. They are active learners. That means they're reading books. That means they're listening to podcasts. That means they are attending conferences and they're being coached. I would say 8 out of 10 top producers have a business coach. 8 out of 10. So if you currently don't have a business coach, let me first raise my hand and say, check out what we're doing at TLOP Online. We have 3 different ways you can learn from us besides the free way. This is the free way. Our YouTube channel is the free version. Signing up for our newsletter, free version, right? You can do all of that on our website, tloponline.com, or you can join our coaching community, number one value in the industry. No other coaching company is more valuable than us. You can look into one of our 16-week boot camps, or for select individuals, I have offered elite coaching. That's basically the community plus getting one-on-one with me. But I only have room for 10 of those particular elite slots. Mm-hmm. Okay, but they all are coached in some form or fashion. 8 out of 10 are coached. They all are active learners. Some of them learn by reading books or attending conferences, right? So that is like lesson number 2 that I picked up on. Lesson number 3, it is, I have stopped asking this question. Like I have a certain, go-to questions when I'm interviewing a top producer, or I'm moderating a panel of top producers. And the question of, when did you realize you made it?
When did you make it, Dustin? When did you know you made it?
Okay, you know what they all answer?
I haven't made it yet.
Yes, and I'm so fucking tired of that answer.
I haven't made it yet, Dustin. That's why I'm here, inspiring the next generation.
And I'm like, no, you are on this panel because at some point you have achieved success that others haven't.
No, the book I read,
they want to learn from you.
The book I'm reading right now, because I'm trying to be great, teaches me to be meek and humble. So I can't tell you I've made it because I haven't yet. It's about the journey, not the destination.
And it is. And none of us have made it, because I'll tell you this. Anyone who is a highly successful person, they probably buy into good enough never is. There's always something else that they are looking towards, right? When I'm looking for a great referral partner, I look for someone who is full-time, professional, and in growth mode. It's that simple. This is how I'll coach you. That's what you look for. I don't care if they're 19 years old and newly licensed, or if they're 79 years old and they've been selling real estate for 60 years. As long as they're full-time professional and in growth mode, I would love to sit down and talk about being their lender partner. Same thing goes when I'm a branch manager trying to hire loan officers, or I am a divisional sales executive. I am taking applications from branch managers who maybe want to join my personal team and let me personally coach them, let them tie into my systems and processes and buy into my culture, which, if you're interested, reach out to me. When I'm doing just that, I only look for branch managers who are full-time, professional, and in growth mode. If you're full-time and professional, awesome, high five. But if you're not in growth mode, you're not for me. If I was a branch manager, same thing with my loan officers. I want them full-time, professional, and growth mode. I find top producers themselves, the people that we interview on this show, that we put on panels, the reason why they answer the answer of, oh, I still haven't felt like I made it.
Bullshit.
Is because they're in growth mode. And when you stay in growth mode, you've never felt like you actually made it. But when I dig deeper, I will tell you the answer is the same answer I'm going to give you. Took me 2 years. Took me 3 years. Right? It's 2 to 3 years, y'all. Like, at the end of the day, it's 2 to 3 years. Anyone who says less than that, you're an outlier. Anyone who is more than that,
You're a shitty LO.
no, I'm going to say high five. Way to grind.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because something must have shifted. If they couldn't get it figured out in the first 3, but they got it figured out in year 7, way to endure and way to keep like chipping away at it. Like I look at one of my biggest accomplishments in life, which is crazy and kind of corny to talk about. I quit chewing tobacco. Like I used to dip a can a day, 8 cans a week.
Skull long cut peppermint.
Straight. I started as a kid with the cherry and the spearmint.
Yeah, then you grew some balls and got some real
Then I grew some balls and I started doing just, skull straight, right? And it's a gross habit, but I grew up idolizing baseball players and guys that rodeoed. So, yeah, like you look at both those guys and like, oh, they're mean, they're tough, they're badasses, and they chew tobacco. So, like when I was 12, I probably wanted to chew tobacco. By the time I was in high school and I had some kids who could get me tobacco, then I started giving J-Dats and J-Fats, those are their names, $5 for a $2 can because they were going to the Circle K and stealing it.
I remember.
And then they were selling it to kids like me who were too afraid to steal.
That's where you got your salesmanship from, underage buying of tobacco.
Okay, maybe it was as a consumer. But I look back on that and I was like, you know what? I tried to quit at 20. I tried to quit at 21, 22. I tried to quit every single year. I quit right before I turned 30. So good thing I didn't give up because I tried quitting for over a decade before it finally stuck. But I will find in sales success, typically it's 2 to 3 years, right? So that would be like the third lesson that I've learned that's pretty congruent amongst top producers. Now, the fourth is their mindset. Not one of a top producer I've ever interviewed has thought of themselves as a worker or an employee. They are business owners and business operators. Even if they don't own the business, they don't have equity, they don't have profit share. They operate with the mindset that they work for first name, last name, LLC, right? There's a reason why we teach that. There's a reason why we coach that. And I witnessed that with all 3, right? All 3 of them. Now, Jed, he does own his own brokerage, right? But Corey doesn't. Corey works for a credit union in South Carolina. Now, she funded $65 million
working
last
at a
year
credit union?
Yes. And none of her business comes from the credit union.
What?
It is all self-sourced.
Bullshit.
It is all self-sourced. Yeah. You know what's really cool is there's some pretty wealthy people down in like Charleston. And some of those wealthy people are on like reality TV shows or they're actors on movies like or TV shows like Outer Banks. And yeah, those are her clients.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So, and then I look at what Mike does. Now, Mike is kind of a hybrid because Mike works for a top 25 lender, right? He and I are together at Lower, but Mike runs his under a different brand. He has his own brand. So, but all 3 of them, regardless of if they're a broker or credit union LO or they work for an IMB, all 3 of them, their mindset is that of this is my business. Like I'm in charge. And they approach it that way. They carry themselves that way. And I find it to be very consistent.
What are the 3 things that these people have in common that they don't do?
That they don't do.
Yeah, like bitch, complain. These are 3 things. Like, what do you find in common? We always talk about these are things what top producers do. I guess it could be the same.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's funny. You read the book Atomic Habits, and when James Clear teaches Atomic Habits, he teaches the inverse of the habit, right? Because there's building good habits, there's also taking away bad habits. So yeah, the answer is always going to be the inverse. What do they not do? They don't blame others. Like they do not blame others for anything that is going sideways in their life or their business, right? The book by Jocko Willink is called Extreme Ownership. Whether they've read the book or not, they all embrace extreme ownership, right? It is not their fault. It's not someone else's fault that they're not achieving success. Not the market, not the rate sheet, not the borrowers, nothing. Like, it doesn't matter what you give them. They will be successful. In fact, that'll be the number 5. Number 5 is that they were going to be successful regardless of market conditions, regardless of if they had a team or not, regardless if they owned their own broker shop, they were in a credit union, or they worked for a top 25 independent mortgage bank. Like they are going to be successful. And I lived this, and then I now coach this. So I lived as a young branch manager. I would have originators come up to me and say, if I just had this product,
Yeah.
I would be so much more successful.
I'd be a top producer.
And I would say, bullshit. If you are going to be successful, you're going to be successful, regardless if I gave you a foreign national loan, an I-10 loan, or an FHA 203K. Right? That's just an excuse. I've had originators. Well, if my processor was better.
Ah, damn it.
You know what? No, because Jed Barker funded 167 units and processed every one of his loans himself.
What?
Yes. Now, he now has a dedicated processor.
Yeah.
He did that and said, fuck that shit. Actually, Jed doesn't talk that way. Jed's actually like father of 6, great Christian man, only lutens to
And
the
y'all have a
Christian
good
radio
relationship?
station. Yes.
Look at you, yin and yang.
Hey, hate the sin, not the sinner. Martin Luther King Jr. said that best. Hate the sin and not the sinner. But yeah, so like that just tells me no, if you had a processor. I've had so many LOs throughout my career come up to me and be like,
man,
well, of course so-and-so is doing 200 units. Have you seen the size of her team? And I'm like, bitch, do you know that she did 120 units by herself before she ever hired an LOA or a loan partner? So all three of them have that mindset of extreme ownership, and all three of them have had this mindset that it doesn't matter rates, market conditions, great processor, no processor, doesn't matter. Come hell or high water, they're going to focus on the things that matter most. They're going to do them until they become great at them. Then they're going to continue to do them so that they can reap the rewards. The rewards are more leads, more fundings, more money made. With more money made, that's more money saved. That's also more money tithed, meaning more money you can give back to your community to make it a better place so that you can leave things better than you found it. And by the way, I talk about those three because they're the three that are most top of mind. But those three are the other 30 that we've had on the show. Mm-hmm. The other 3,000 that we personally know through traveling the country, attending conferences and networking. Like, it's one of those things, if it's new, it's not true. None of this is new. And it resonates from Spokane to Key West, everywhere in between. And then as a bonus item, I'm going to share this. As a bonus item, here's what I love about having the opportunity to travel the country and do events like we're doing and speak at conferences like we're speaking at. Mm-hmm. Do you know who the most attentive participants are? Those that ask the most questions and write the most notes?
The ones that make the most money and close the most loans.
Top producers. The men and women that you think would be like, oh, I don't need this shit. No. Gwen Swain, one of our coaches at TLOP.
Yeah.
Gwen Swain loves to hop on other coaches' calls to learn. Right? She loves to listen to whether it's Ross or it's me or it's Christy. Like, she's an active learner. In fact, right now, Gwen's at Keller Williams family reunion. Now, she's there to network. She's there because I'm sure some of her best referral partners are there. But I promise you, she's there taking notes and learning as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a bonus item of top producers. They tend to be the most attentive, those that take the most notes and ask the most questions. So if you're trying to level up and become successful, look, here are 5 characteristics that I think as long as you can embrace them, write them down, put them on your vision board, have some kind of a reminder of the type of person, the type of professional you want to be, the sky truly is the limit.
Biggie said it best. Please don't tell me you don't know that song.
The sky's the limit?
Yeah.
I don't know that one. Jeez. I know 10 crack commandments. You want me to do that one for you? Sorry about that.
God.
Sorry about that, John. Yeah, I'm going to have to look that one up.
I know 10 crack commandments, but you don't know sky's the limit.
Maybe I know the lyrics, I know the song, but I don't know the name. We know this about me. I can't remember names of shows I watch. I can't remember names of books I read. Unless it's like the 3 I always talk about. Extreme ownership, never split the difference, and atomic habits.
Willing. God, it's your fault, damn it.
It's your fault. You know what, John? Because of how you just closed that out on low energy, it's your fault if the people don't want to do what I'm going to ask them to do.
Good. Blame me. Give a shit about people on the internet. Go ahead, Dustin.
Guess what? I do, because I have a company I'm trying to build and bills I have to pay. We all can't be independently wealthy like John Coleman. So listen, this is what we need y'all to do right now, right here. If you like shows like this, do not keep us a secret.
Yeah, please tell somebody.
We're not going anywhere.
Uh-oh.
So at this point, you might as well let the whole entire world know
shit.
we need them tuning in. So not once, not twice, but three times. These are your friends, your coworkers, and your colleagues. Go to our YouTube channel right now. Subscribe, the Loan Officer Podcast, aka TLOP. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download us on Spotify and Apple. Give us a 5-star review. Go to our website, TLOP, online.com. Sign up for the newsletter, but it's also on that website that you can see the next live event we're going to be participating in, the next free call we're going to be hosting, and it's also where you can inquire more about whether it's career advice you may need or it's coaching or sales training that you're looking for. Be sure you check us out. And finally, if you would love to see John and I travel to a city near you, put it together, reach out, call us, hire us, find a sponsor. We love to get on the road, connect with originators throughout the country, because we do feel like our calling over the next 9 to 12 years is going to be shaping the future of the mortgage industry. He's John Coleman. I'm Dustin Owen. You've just tuned in to Loan Officer Podcast. That is all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.